Oh, so we're recording. All right, so here we go. I think I mentioned earlier that next week, not only is it spring break, but it feels like Christmas to me. It's March Madness. So we're going to have two extra credit projects. So here's the deal. Let me start sharing this. Okay, so on Sunday, the NCAA is going to release its March Madness bracket, so you have two chances for success. Okay. Number one, I want you to. Let me back up a little bit. So this is what the bracket looked like last year. So I'm going to update this with the teams. Last year, Villanova played LIU, Long Island, or Radford. Xavier was the number one seed in the South. Virginia. Oh, sorry. Xavier was the number one in the West. Virginia in the South, and Kansas in the Midwest. So some of you don't have any idea about March Madness, so let me explain to you. So as you're looking at this, the lower numbers, number one, Kansas. Now, in fact, let me just mention this. We'll go to the South region. Up until last year, a 16 seed had never, ever beaten a 1 seed. And for years, I've been saying that one of these days it's going to happen. And unfortunately for me, when I picked Virginia to go to the Final Four, Virginia was the team that got upset. Okay? So I've got listed here, last year it was 100% chance that historically, the number one seed had beaten the 16 seed. And so I've been saying for years, one of these days it's going to happen. And last year was the year UMBC, I don't even know what that stands for, beat Virginia, and they beat them bad. It wasn't even a close game. It was unbelievable. So, but typically the lower seed team is going to win. If you look at the 2 seed, they've won about 94% of the time. These are all last year's numbers, by the way. I will update that, sir. So when you look at an 8-9 game, those are two teams that are very competitive. The 8 seed wins about 53% of the time, and that sort of a thing. So on the front page here, we have a list of every team that's played each other. So you can see here, when you get the Final Four, so you've got the higher seed win percentage across the top, and then the lower seed here. So a 1 has played a 1 46 times, and so that one you can just flip a coin. Those are two equal teams. But a 1 has played a 2 74 times. The 1 seed has won 40, lost 34. So the number 1 has a winning percentage of 541. You can go all the way down. And then you can see down here, last year was the first time a 16 seed has beaten the 1 seed. So it's now, rather than a 100% chance that the 1 seed will win, it's a 99.3% chance. Okay? So you can use this. The problem is, let's pick like a 3 seed has never ever played a 12 seed. So if when you're doing your bracket, you get a 3 versus a 12, you can do whatever you want because it's never happened. I would expect the 3 seed would win. Every once in a while, you see some unusual things. For example, for some reason, a 5 seed playing an 8 seed, the 8 seed has won, only played 4 times, number 1. But the 8 seed has beaten the 5 seed 3 times, 3 or 4 times. So that's kind of surprising there. So every once in a while, you'll see a higher seed with a worse record. I need to fix that. Here, I'll fix that right now. So I updated this. These are correct, but we won't know until Sunday when we don't have school next week. So here's the important part of this. Sunday night, they're going to announce the 68 teams that are going to play in here. Now, by the way, and let me just mention this. So, for example, they have 4 teams that are playing games. So LIU played Radford, and I don't even remember who won. And I've always said in the past, it doesn't matter because if you're in the playing game, ain't no way you're going to beat the number 1 seed. So I'll have to change that to 99% chance of winning instead of 100% chance. But yeah, so I don't really care what you do with that game, but 99% chance the number one seed is going to win. Okay. So anyway, what you do here is I'm going to let you fill out two brackets. One bracket, you can fill it out any way you want. And here's how you do. I think you get 1 point for filling out a bracket and uploading it to Canvas. You also get a point if you fill it out on ESPN, and I will post a link there. The nice thing about ESPN is it does all the hard work for me. But so you get 1 point for every Final Four team that you get correct. Okay. And then 1 point for the final two teams you get correct, and then 1 point if you pick the national championship. So that's 4, 6, 7, plus doing it is 8 points possible that you could get. Now, I also want you to do this again, but this time I want you to do a simulation. So the idea here is, and let me show you my bracket from last year. So this was my bracket last year, where you can see that unfortunately I freaking picked Virginia. Well, I guess I had them losing there. That's all right. Well, this is my thing here. So what I did is I picked a bunch of random numbers. And I said, for example, okay, so 1 is playing 16. I think I recommended you use 0.975 because, let me just back up here. Yeah, that's what happened. So when you look here, I recommend, so I think I gave a record here where if you looked at the 1 versus all of the lower seeds here, it was 0.975 winning percentage. Because I knew that one day a 16 seed, I didn't know it would be Virginia, but I knew that one day a 16 seed would be the 1 seed. So here's the deal. I want you to do come up with some sort of a legend like this, where and I think I used 97% chance of winning. So you could do a random number generator from 1 to 1,000. And if you get a number greater than 975, you're going to pick the 1 seed versus the 16 seed. And so anyway, just use a random number generator to pick. And so in this case, I had Tennessee winning the South. I had Kansas winning the Midwest. I had Xavier winning the West, and I had Villanova winning the East. Then you have your Final Four, and so if you pick these incorrectly, these will fill in automatically. So if you have 2 1s, I'll let you pick whatever you want because that's a 50-50. But in this case, your 1 versus your 3, you're going to go back to here. A 1 versus a 3, the 1 seed wins 60% of the time. And so in this case, let's see, I picked, so I got a number 587, so that meant that Xavier was going to win. Okay, and then a 1 versus a 1, you can do whatever you want. So that's your projected winner. So you get 3 points for doing the simulation. But you have to load your simulation. In the comments, I want to know who your Final Four teams are, because I don't want to have to open up your spreadsheet every time. Okay? So in the comments, put your Final Four teams, your final 2 teams, and then your national champ. Okay? So you can get 8 points for your bracket. You can get up to 10 points for the simulation if you get everything right. I don't think I've ever had anybody get all Final Four teams correct. Just so you know. But anyway, so do you have any questions on this? The unfortunate thing is it's during spring break. So I will post this Sunday night after they announce all the seedings. And then you have to have your thing uploaded by Wednesday, because technically the games start Tuesday, but I don't care about the playing games. But the real tournament starts Thursday. Okay, so you have to have it in Wednesday by midnight, or I will lock it and you can't enter it. So you just pay attention to this next week. Like I said, I will post the real bracket. It'll be a blank bracket like this one here, and I will have the correct teams here. These are the teams from last year. So, and I won't know until Sunday. Usually it seems right. I don't know, 5 o'clock is when they announce it. So it'll be around 7 o'clock. I post this. Okay? Question?
So said one bracket's simulated, where it's just not based off of the real thing, right?
Yeah, you're gonna use a random number generator to pick the winners.
The second poll, and then the other one was just, we go off of that, and then we kind of.
And you can just pick whoever you want.
Okay.
So you have 2 chances for extra credit. So another thing, when you sign up for ESPN, and I'm not joking, somebody signed up as Pink Fairy Lady or something like that. I don't know who Pink Fairy Lady is. So you need to tell me what your ESPN username is to get credit. If I don't know who Pink Fairy Lady is, you're not going to get credit. So in addition to giving me your Final Four, your Final Two, and your national championship, tell me what your ESPN username and password are. You register for free. Just make sure you sign the UVU March Madness group or whatever I called it. I can't remember, but I will post it there. The nice thing about that is it lets me see. It has a nice little leaderboard, and you can see who's winning. So, okay. Any other questions? Yes.
So you're gonna upload like this type of clip in?
Yes.
Okay, and then can we just like edit this page?
And you'll be able to edit the page and then upload yours. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So you can do this twice. Okay. I'll have 2 different assignments. One will be just whatever you want to pick. The other one will be your simulation. Okay. I'll have 2 groups on ESPN as well, the simulation and the whatever you want group. Okay. I will just tell you from past experience, generally my simulation does much worse than my pick'em group. But also I want to say this, how many of you know nothing about March Madness? You'll probably win. My wife beats me, I would say, more than 50% of the time. So you don't need to know about sports to do well on this. But just know that the 1 seed is probably going to be the 16th seed with a 99% chance. Okay? So, yes.
So you wanting us to upload both brackets onto ESPN, their website, or just the one?
So, okay, yeah. So you need to load the actual Excel spreadsheet to Canvas. Then you're also going to have to copy, because you can't upload the spreadsheet up to ESPN. But you need to register for ESPN, join the proper group, tell me what your username is, and then you have to click on whatever your simulation says and whatever your regular one says. Okay? Supposedly you could win $1 billion if you get a perfect bracket, and yeah, nobody's ever done that. Nobody will. Okay? All right, any other questions? All right, so there you go. That's the extra credit for spring break. Did I make changes? I did make changes. Save. All right. Actually, I'm gonna stop.